Hola, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? Mi nombre es Timoteo. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tim Kutzmark. Welcome on this Sunday morning to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Fresno, California. I am so glad that you are choosing to be with us this morning for our service entitled The Last Child in the Woods, Reclaiming Nature and Nurture. We're going to begin in about 3 minutes, so you've got some time to do whatever you want to do for the next 3 minutes. That might include liking us on Facebook. That might include you daring to share this live feed with all of your Facebook friends, inviting them to join you here in this community of progressive love, compassion, and justice. You might need to do a bio break, get another cup of coffee, get that egg and bacon sandwich ready to bite into. But I do hope that you will get yourself a candle and or a chalice, because a little bit later as we start the service, Floyd Sanchez will be lighting the chalice and would love you to be able to do so at home as well. So I'll see you back in about 3 minutes. Bye-bye.
Hola, buenos dias. Mi nombre es Lori Tidyman Jones. I'm Lori, and welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. To everyone, we say welcome. You're welcome no matter your race, culture of origin, or spiritual or religious background. You're welcome no matter your age, gender, or sexual orientation. Lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, you are welcome. We welcome you no matter your differing abilities or amount of income. You're welcome con papeles o sin papeles, with or without documentation. No one is illegal here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. In that spirit, let's join our voices and remind ourselves who we are as a community and why we gather each week. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Pre-pandemic, at this moment, Tim might jump up and come down into the congregation to greet us, look us in the eye and say, welcome, I'm so glad you're here. We would shake hands, we might hug each other. The band and Lorenzo would wave at us. Danny would high five with the kids. It would be a moment of joyous celebration together. Now, things are a little bit different. But for a moment, I'd like you to imagine that we're standing in the church and those beautiful lights that come out of those big windows come on us, and I will turn to you and smile and say, I'm so glad to meet you. Mi nombre es Lori. Isn't this a great day? I'm so glad to see you. And then we would proceed with the service. So right now, I'm going to gently pass you on to Tim.
As we prepare to begin today's service that is entitled The Last Child in the Woods, Reclaiming Nature and Nurture, I love that the invitations of the national parks are here behind me. Olympic National Park, Yosemite, Grand Teton National Park. And I love that here the pine trees of the Sierras, our beloved Sierras, are growing green on this ministerial stole right next to the Unitarian Universalist chalice. Speaking of chalice, Floyd is going to invite us into his home to light the chalice and begin our service, and let us allow the sound of the tingsha to carry us together there.
Hi, I'm Floyd Sanchez, Worship Associate and member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno Board of Trustees. Welcome to my home. I'm grateful to be able to be with you this morning as we begin our service. Unitarian Universalism is a living faith. It's a faith with a unique, ancient history and a legacy of manifesting courageous love for people in the world. Just as our denomination has a rich history of standing on the side of love, our congregation in Fresno is proud to be a beacon for compassion, dignity, spiritual growth, peace, interdependence, and social justice. It's our Unitarian Universalist tradition to be in our service with the lighting of a flame in an open chalice. The nature of the chalice, for me, is emblematic of the charge our faith gives to each practitioner to be open and provide safe harbor to the ways wisdom and compassion take shape in the world. The flame represents the meaning these virtues give to our life. I hope you will join me and lighting a chalice or candle of your own this morning. Let's now join our voices in our song of praise, Blue Boat Home.
Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and ruin my rudder as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, lifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making my way by the lights of the heavens and our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Hola, soy Danny. Howdy friends, Danny here, and today, as you might have noticed, I've gone on a field trip to a place I like to call outdoor church. Unitarian Universalists come from a rich tradition of nature appreciators and transcendentalists. We find wisdom in the words of those who see the interconnected web as divine. Some prophetic men and women who inform our sensibilities have called it the oversoul. Some call it spirit of life. Others just call it God. Since today's field trip has brought me away from the buildings and into the woods, I'd like to share with you excerpts of a poem from one of those prophetic women that I just mentioned. Her name is Mary Oliver, and the word she uses for that great spirit of love and mystery is the Lord. In this poem, her words speak to me of a yearning to express her love and gratitude for this beautiful interconnected web. But her attempts are muted in comparison to the grandeur of creation. The name of this poem that I've taken excerpts from is More Beautiful Than Honey, Lucas, are the words of the Lord. The deer came into the field. I saw her peaceful face and heard the shuffle of her breath. She was sweetened by merriment and not afraid, but bold to say whose field she was crossing. Spoke the tap of her foot, it is God's and mine. But only that she was born into the poem that God made and called the world. It's close to hopeless, for what I want to say, the red bird has already said, and better in 1,000 trees. The white bear, lifting one enormous paw, has said it better. You cannot cross one hammock or furrow, but it is his holy ground. Instead, I prayed, oh Lord, let me be something useful and unpretentious. Even as the chimney swift sings, even the cobblestones have a task to do, and do it well. Lord, let me be a flower, even a tear or a sparrow, or the small bright stone in a ring worn by someone brave and kind, whose name I will never know. Lord, when I sleep, I feel you near. When I wake, you are already wiping the stars away. I rise quickly, hoping to be your wild child. The rose, the honeymaker, the honey vine, a bird shouting its joy as it floats, the gift you have given us. Another day. Let's all take a deep and collective breath, just to appreciate the wonder and awe that is the beauty that surrounds me and us. You know, sitting here on this stump, it's pretty easy for me to feel connected to the trees and the birds. But when I'm at home, where there's more pavement than flowers, it can be hard to feel that connection. It's important to remember that no matter where you are or where you find yourself, you are still a part of the wonderful and natural world. Let us turn now to the words and music of Mamuz, as they remind us we've only to turn to our imagination to find beauty.
Oh, here we go! Yeah! You got to sing, 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 sing. 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 Sing on the river, sing in a boat. Sing through the red light canyons while you float. You got to sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing. Sing by the fire, sing with your kids. Sing for the crickets and the katydids. You got to sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing. Sing while you're happy, sing while you're sad. Sing for your mama and sing for your dad. You got to sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing. Sing for the sun and sing for the moon. Sing for a week in September with my music. Sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing. Sing, 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 sing.
I love that, kayaking on the imaginary river of dreams. Sing, sing, sing. Just as importantly, breathe, breathe, breathe. And so, with that invitation, let's together take a breath, breathing in peace into our bodies, and we hold just a moment, and we breathe out love. And again, breathing in the promise of peace, we hold for just a moment. We breathe out love. And again, together, we breathe in peace to every cell in our body. We hold just a moment. We transform that into love, and we breathe out love into our world. As we continue breathing together on this Sunday morning, I invite the breath to carry you back over the last 7 days, the last week of your living, a gift, a blessing. And two questions resonate for us this morning. The first, how were you unskillful in the last 7 days? The second question arises on our breath. How did you bring caring and kindness into the world in the last 7 days? The world we know is both beautiful and broken. There exists gentleness and there exists violence. Veterans Day is a time to acknowledge this. It's a day that nourishes remembrance and peace. Before it became Veterans Day in 1954, November 11th was originally known as Armistice Day, a holiday to be dedicated to the cause of world peace. Bells were rung everywhere at 11 a.m. on November 11th for many, many years. The president at the time of the first Armistice Day was Woodrow Wilson. Armistice Day, in President Wilson's own words, was not only to help us reflect on the heroism of those who died, but to consider, quote, the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace, end of quote. The first Armistice Day was celebrated 102 years ago on November 11th, 1918. No matter what our feelings about war, it is incumbent upon us to remember, it's incumbent upon us to honor those who have served this country as members of our armed forces. And so, on this Veterans Day weekend, to those who are a veteran, to those who have served in any branch of the United States Armed Forces, I say, may we always look upon you with gratitude and respect. To those who have loved ones, family members, or friends currently serving in the armed forces, or if you yourself are serving in the armed forces, I say, may we always look upon your loved ones, family members, friends, and yes, you, with gratitude and respect. If a family member, loved one, or friend died while serving our country in the armed forces, I say, may we always look upon your lost loved ones, family members, and friends with respect, with gratitude. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. If you'd like to join me in honoring our veterans, just type the letter V in the comment box. We move from our time of remembrance into a time of recognition, recognizing the sacredness of each of our lives. Our lives is like a holy scripture that is bearing revelation each and every day. And so we as Unitarian Universalists honor all aspects of our human life. We honor our joys, our sorrows, we honor our concerns, and yes, our gratitudes. And this is that time when we invite you to share, if you feel so moved, what's alive for you today in your heart, in your mind. And so if you would like to share, you can type a personal joy, concern, sorrow, or gratitude in the comment box. If you're referencing another person, please make sure you don't share their last name in order to respect their privacy. And so as we, in this caring, connected community, share and hold one another, we lift up the names of our beloveds those who on this Sunday need extra prayers, extra light and love sent their way. For all that has been shared, for all that we hold in the sacred silence of our beating hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to speak their name with gentleness or with love, we light our candle of community by our remembering. May we and they be blessed. We light a second candle this morning. It burns first for the over 1 million citizens of California who have contracted the COVID-19 virus, and it remembers the 1.29 million citizens of this world who have lost their lives during this pandemic. In the light of our candles, we join our voices in our call to meditation.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cantaré tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraígame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
We have a choice. We have a choice as to the sounds that we surround ourselves with in every day. Are the sounds around us calling us to our higher selves? Are they sounds that help calm and balance us? Are they sounds that lead us into that place where we can reclaim yet again our best selves?
my senses. Come fill me.
The thing that gets me about observing the natural world is that through experiencing nature, we're able to peer into what it means to exist without conditions. It's not always apparent to us as humans the state of oneness that you're able to witness in nature. We're often extremely busy with our offices and our parking lots and fiddling with our car steering wheels and our cell phones. But if we head out on a trail and pay attention, we're bound to be reminded over and over again of Earth's majesty and our connection with the divine. Watching closely as clouds morph and change state, as leaves turn to soil and soil back to trees, and as the animal kingdom rely on one another for energy through food, it becomes obvious that to live is to contribute and borrow from the universe countless times, until we ultimately contribute all of ourselves one last, final, more decisive time. When I reflect on nature, my soul yearns to know a life in which my family and community's relationship with nature is at the center. Intellectually, I'm aware that my ancestors not too long ago, in what is now Guanajuato State in Mexico, had their own systems of subsisting in synchronicity with nature. But my connection to that way of living has been severed. It's been severed by time. It's been severed by politics. It's been severed by human brutality. And it's been severed by what to some represents civilization or progress. Well, I have to say that I envy their certainty on that subject. I envy that they know all the details to the story that they feel is most important, because it's represented and considered documented history. A lot of us who don't have that luxury are left to dream of what it would be like to cohabitate with the natural world in the ways of our not-so-distant ancestors. While we watch as our new societal construct of nature is scarred by unmitigated fire, we can't help but wonder if our ancestors once possessed wisdom that kept the flames balanced as a destructive but necessary and ultimately beneficial force. One thought, it occurs to me over and over again. Whether I'm traversing the Sierra foothills into the backcountry of the Eastern Sierra, or the valley flatlands that give way to the coastal mountain ranges that eventually turn into what we now call Big Sur, or even here, sitting at my desk, writing this reflection in the land of the Yokut, is how places we view as a getaway or a day trip, or even places we consider mundane and everyday, were once sacred spaces that held special significance to people in a way that I'm afraid I'll never be able to feel or experience. What once meant a harrowing journey fraught with hazards that required communion with the land and its non-human inhabitants, and what once was a space and geography associated with sacred notions of origination, myth, and mystery, we now know only as points of interest and photo opportunities. Though, I fear that I've been removed too cleanly from my ancestral inheritance of harmony with divinity as it's found in the natural world. Maybe it's enough to hope that my children will know nature more than I have been able to attune myself. And maybe it's enough to hope that they will raise their children to explore and seek out kinship with Earth beyond what their parents did. It's a modest hope, but it's one that I enjoy and I find peace in working toward.
the first morning, blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the springing fresh from the world. Surge l'aurora qua la primera, canta l'aurata, voce iniziale. Lor al canto, lor all'alba, via su principio trascendental. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first new fall on the first rain. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where our feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, love's recreation of the new day.
The woods are empty now. The wind blows the autumn-kissed leaves, but there are no human ears to hear it. The sun warms the clearing where deer forage, but there are no human eyes to see it. The woods are empty now, for we have turned the world around, and we have locked ourselves away. This was the pre-pandemic reality described by author Richard Louv in his terrifying and truthful book, Last Child in the Woods. Now, in this time of COVID, quarantine, and isolating, now when the safest way to connect to others in the world is virtually through a screen, the book's message is even more timely and true. Our children, our teenagers, and our adults are hiding indoors. We are locked away with electronic media, locked away watching the Nature Channel, locked away surfing the net and playing with smartphones, locked inside studying for CSTs and advanced placement exams, locked inside by schedules that are crammed far too full, locked inside by fear of what dangers lurk out there, locked inside by gang violence and fear of the police. And this, author Richard Louv contends, is why so many of us, young and old and in between, suffer from what he calls nature deficit disorder. If this resonates with you in any way, type NDD for nature deficit disorder in the comment box. Poet Robinson Jeffers writes, it is time for us to kiss the earth again. It is time to let the leaves rain from the skies. Let the rich life run down to the roots again. I will go down to the lovely Sur rivers and dip my arms in them up to the shoulders. I will find my accounting where the alder leaf quivers. In the ocean wind over the river boulders, I will touch things and things and no more thoughts. Contrast those words to these uttered by a young child in San Diego. Asked where she liked to spend her time, she replied, "Me gusta jugar mejor en interiores." I like to play indoors because that's where all the electrical outlets are. Richard Louv remembers, one evening when my boys were younger, Matthew, then 10, looked at me from across a restaurant table and said quite seriously, "Dad, how come it was more fun when you were a kid?" I asked what he meant. "Well, you're always talking about your woods and tree houses." At first, I thought he was irritated with me. I had, in fact, been telling him what it was like to use string and pieces of liver to catch crawdads in a creek. But my son was serious. He felt he had missed out on something important. He was right. Americans around my age, baby boomers or older, enjoyed a kind of free natural play that seems like a quaint artifact. Within the space of a few decades, the way children understand and experience nature has changed radically. Today, kids are aware of global threats to the environment, but their own physical contact, their immediacy and intimacy with nature is fading. That's exactly the opposite of how it was when I was a child, the author writes. As a boy, I was unaware that my woods were ecologically connected with any other forests. Nobody in the 1950s talked about global warming. But I knew my woods and my fields. I knew every bend in the creek and dip in the beaten dirt paths. I wander those woods even in my dreams. A kid today can likely tell you about the Amazon rainforest, but not about the last time he or she explored the woods in solitude or lay in a field listening to the wind and watching the clouds move. I'm haunted by how denatured so many of us have become, and how denatured our children are. From my own childhood, I remember a clear creek with mossy green rocks and sleek brown salamanders that would slip out of my hands even as I captured them. I remember bright, rusty red sumac, the smell of their bark-stripped branches when I'd skin them to use as magic wands, swords, and snake hole pokers. I remember making dams with stones and sticks and mud. I remember staring into the pools of backed up water, watching water bugs dance across the surface. I remember chasing lightning bugs on summer nights, and long after I should have been asleep, watching them flicker in the glass jar held between my hands. I remember digging into the creek bank to build forts, the full, fertile smell of soil on my feet, my face, and underneath my fingernails. I remember the scurry of chipmunks, the call of birds, the sweet stillness of darkening shadows. All of this was my childhood. It taught me to touch and play and sit and listen and observe and experiment and imagine and be still and be alone and be with friends and deconnected to spiders and mice and plants and caves and snake skins and bird nests and the interplay of sun and cloud and wind and rain and snow. This was meditation. This was prayer. This was God. If you had some variation of this experience growing up, type Y for yes in the comment box. And if you did not, honor your own childhood experience and type the number 1. Poet Mary Oliver writes, I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down into the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? According to Richard Louv, nature comes in many forms. A pet that lives and dies. A worn path through the woods. A damp, mysterious edge of a vacant city lot. It offers an older, larger world. Unlike television, it does not steal time. It amplifies it. It serves as a blank slate, demanding visualization and the full use of senses. Given a chance, a child will bring the confusion of the world to the woods, wash it in the creek, turn it over to see what lives on the unseen side. Nature, he writes, is our capacity for wonder, our capacity to be born anew. And yet most of our children have little or no time in nature. A few years ago, a landmark research study found that teenagers in America spend an astounding 9 hours a day with digital technology, entertaining themselves with streaming video, listening to music, and playing games. Tweens, those 8 to 12-year-olds, spend an average of 6 hours a day with digital technology. This was pre-pandemic. We can only imagine the numbers now. In a world where our children no longer look out the car windows and play I Spy because their eyes are glued to smartphones. In a world where our inner city youth might see a few scrawny trees through a locked park gate because funding for parks is not a priority. The late Edward Reed, a noted psychologist, warns, we are beginning to lose the ability to experience our world directly. Richard Louv observes, As the young spend less and less of their lives in natural surroundings, their senses narrow physiologically and psychologically, and this reduces the richness of human experience. Yet, at the very moment that the bond is breaking between the young and the natural world, a growing body of research links our mental, physical, and spiritual health directly to our association with nature. In the early 1800s, Universalist social activist and mental health pioneer Dr. Benjamin Rush declared, "Digging in the soil has a curative effect on the mentally ill." Recent studies prove that surgery patients recover faster if they look out at trees and greenery. Other studies show that spending time in nature reduces stress levels in adults, and that just watching fish swim lowers blood pressure. The Institute for Child and Adolescent Development suggests that nature plays a significant role in helping traumatized children. Still more studies suggest that thoughtful exposure to nature can be a powerful form of therapy for attention deficit disorders. As one scientist puts it, we can now assume that just as children need good nutrition and adequate sleep, they need contact with nature. Robin Moore from the National Learning Initiative reminds us, sensory experiences link the child's exterior world with their interior, hidden, affective world. Freedom to explore and play with the outdoor environment through the senses is essential for the healthy development of an interior life. Rick Bass, who now lives in the wilderness of Montana, writes powerfully of a childhood moment in nature that shaped him forever. He says, "I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and it was New Year's Eve. We were staying in the hunting camp's ramshackle old shed. It had been an ice storm that day, and the adults, my uncle and father and grandfather, were inside playing dominoes by gas lamp. And they sent me down to the creek with a flashlight to get a bucket of water. The night was filled with fog, especially down along the creek. I could hear flocks of geese circling overhead, looking for a place to land, but perhaps unable to descend through such dense fog. The little creek was frozen. I was going to have to break through the ice with a rock. Before I did, though, I noticed that I could see fish underneath the ice, pale little bluegills, bloodless looking, caught in the beam of the flashlight, finning in place. I lay there on my belly, watching those fish through the ice. And I had never seen before how complex, but also how ordered is the stacking of all the layers and levels of the world. Somewhere above me, it was clear night with stars, and the geese were up in that world circling and looking. And then below that, there was a skin of fog wrapped around the earth. And on that frozen earth was a small boy with a flashlight. And with the probe of that flashlight's beam traveling through and then beneath the skin of the ice, there was creek water running beneath. And in that cold water, there were those little fish their tails ruddering them in place, fish hanging suspended in that one probe of light. And behind me, up on the hill, the world of men and manhood, my uncle and father and grandfather were playing dominoes, safe and warm in the cabin, while I was out in the cold, alone for the moment, but also not alone, listening to and seeing all these different worlds at once, and knowing that some were calling to me louder than others, and that I could choose or be chosen by any one of them. This is the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. This is why one of our key Unitarian Universalist religious principles demands that we cultivate and practice respect and responsibility for this endangered, interconnected web of life. I wonder what calls to us. What calls to us from childhood memories? What calls to us from woods, mountains, deserts, rivers, shorelines, gardens and parks, bosques, montañas, desiertos, ríos, costas, jardines y parques? Will we choose or be chosen by any one of them? Will we give nuestras hijas, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, the open spaces, an unstructured time to wander and wonder in the worlds of nature and imagination and spirit? Will we, and will our children and our children's children know the healing touch of dusky soil, the sacred sound of a screeching night owl, the tangy taste of blueberries freshly plucked from the side of the path, the smell of midnight in the Sierras, the sight of sunrise on a winter California beach? Will we, young and old, cure our nature deficit disorder? And how do we do that during a pandemic? Will we know what it means to be made whole again by experiencing our place in the interdependent web of all existence? Experiencing our place, not in the pace of a manufactured world, but in the natural rhythms of creation's timeless dance. Will we, as a Unitarian Universalist people of faith, return to the land, to the Earth Mother? Will we speak the inconvenient truth about how our lifestyle, consumption and waste are destroying the balance of life on this planet, endangering the very nature that could nurture us? Will we, and those who come after us, feel firsthand what poet Wendell Berry knew as he wrote? When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go down and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. And I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
River wide and river deep calls me to her side to protect and for her speak. Water, she says, it is time. Vast, vast oceans, bubbling creeks, all are friends of mine. From valley floor to mountain peaks, water, she says, it is time. Ooh, 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 So lay down your weapons, I come in peace to be a stand for life. For all things thrive where water is clean. Water, she says, it is time. For all things thrive where water is clean. Water, she says, it is time.
Hey, Floyd here again. Thanks for visiting my family's home on this Sunday. This church continually inspires me through its bold presence in our community. From the day I first set foot on church campus on a Sunday 4 or so years ago, up until this very service that we're all participating in right now, I've been amazed that there's a community of folks in Fresno that gather and work in pursuit of principles like those that we hold sacred as Unitarian Universalists. Church, it looks a little different now, but it remains as vibrant and enriching as ever. So thank you, Reverend Tim and Lorenzo, for your leadership in helping us continue with transformational worship in spite of everything that's going on. With the trying circumstances that we're all experiencing together, our church relies on support and generosity from our congregants and visitors more than ever. It is essential to our church being able to continue to provide worship and other ambitious services during the pandemic and continued struggle for justice in our nation, that folks that can offer their support and generosity. If you're receiving something through our service today and would like to give back, there are several ways you can make your offering, including Cash App, PayPal, credit card, text, or sending in a check. A slide will appear with all that information in just a moment. But first, in the spirit of grateful generosity, will you join me in saying our words of offering? If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Thank you for being here with us today and for your generosity in contributing to our church's essential mission.
Hello, I'm Patty Bennett, and I'm the coordinator of congregational life at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. We are very happy to welcome newcomers to our church community. If you are new or newish, I invite you to a crash course in Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Tim will present an overview of the rich history of our faith and our beliefs, and this will be a great opportunity to ask any questions you may have. Please register for this class by sending me an email. I'll post my address in the comments.
Floyd here again, and welcome back to my place. It's so great that in the middle of everything that's going on in the world, we're able to gather and connect with each other, to attune ourselves spiritually, and have these shared experiences of sacred truths that have been shared with us today. With gratitude for the efforts of everyone involved in producing another week of profound worship services, and as we prepare to end our service today and enter into the afternoon, please join in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope to see you all next week. Take care.
Thank you, Floyd, for your words and your presence during today's service. You continue to be such a gift, such a blessing to our congregation. Thank you for sharing your ministry and your leadership with us. Well, dear ones, it is time for the end of the service. We have closing words, our sung benediction, and then a glorious postlude that you will want to savor each and every note of. But closing words, I invite us to place our hands gently on our beating hearts. These closing words come from one of ours, from the great Unitarian poet, philosopher, Walt Whitman. We are nature. Long have we been absent, but now we return. We become plants, trunks, foliage, roots, bark. We are bedded in the ground. We are rock. We are oaks. We grow in the openings, side by side, by side, by side. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
May we have faith Assalamu alaikum. Born a poor young country boy, Mother Nature's son. All day long I sit and sing songs for everyone. Sit beside a mountain stream, see her waters rise. Listen to the pretty sound of music as she flies. Find me in my field of grass, Mother Nature's son, swaying daisies, sitting lazy songs beneath the sun. Born a poor young country boy, Mother Nature's son. All day long I'm sitting singing songs for everyone. Ooh, Mother Nature's